right, everyone. This is exciting. I love this. How to better run your agency panel discussion. And so we have a wonderful, wonderful panel today. Let's see. Who do we have on here? We have John O'Brien, Leslie Rubin, Corey Morris, and Lisa Apolinski. Yay. All right, and I'm Juliana, founder of ScaleTime. I'm so excited because this is the topic that I most geek out on. Now, first off, we're just gonna do intros. So yeah, start us off.
Okay, so hi, I'm John O'Brien, a psychologist by training, but don't hold that against me. I've owned a mental health practice for over 25 years, but the reason I'm here is because of my business Activate Success, which is an executive coaching and professional speaking business. And what is the unique thing about me? I'm a motorcycle lover and have motorcycled in the Alps.
Hi, I'm Leslie Rubin, CEO and founder of Image Matterz Advisors. It's a strategic and executive communication consultancy. I also do leadership presence coaching as part of that for maximum impact in communication. Things I would geek out on, don't have a lot of them, but I'm a huge animal advocate. So I have been with my Humane Society for going on 5 years, working with not high risk, but some of the animals that need a little bit more attention before they're adoptable. And I only have one cat, so I'm not bringing everyone home as people ask me all the time. I should also mention author of Image Matterz, author of Filling the Leadership Gap, which came out this past year. And this is helping leaders fill that gap and bringing that together for maximum potential. Yeah.
Hi, Corey Morris. I'm the owner and CEO of Voltage, a digital agency, and founder of Digital Marketing Success Plan and the book by the same title. A fun fact, I have met Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash in person, and it was not an intentional meeting, so ask me the story later.
Hello, I am Lisa Apolinski. I am an agency owner of Three Dog Right. I am a faculty member here at Indie Books, and I am also a deputy editor with Indie Books. I am a 5-time author, and one of my books actually just got translated into Korean a few weeks ago. So I can actually say I'm an international author, which is kind of crazy. And I work with authors, consultants, and speakers to help either establish or reestablish their authority power so they become the go-to no-brainer in their industry.
Hello?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. I think everyone heard that. Third time's a charm. Amazing. Okay, so for owners, for agency owners, which I think most of you, tons of you are here, there are on a daily basis what I call the rings, dings, and pings of the day, where we are getting bombarded with communication from the team all the time. My question to all of you are, what is one of the biggest levers that you have seen with owners to really unblock themselves as the bottleneck so that the business can run without them?
Okay, I guess I will go first. So we keep talking about AI. AI is the elephant in the room. To me, AI is a tool like calculator was for math back in the day. It is something that can help you become efficient and scale. One of the things that I use, and I was a bottleneck in terms of note-taking when I met with clients, coming back with deliverables and tasks, and it would take me some time to actually do that because I wanted to be present during our conversations, our meetings. I use an AI tool, and there's several out there. I use read.ai. She gets on as my assistant. She records it, she transcribes it, she does action items, she summarizes it, and then she also tells me how I can improve and be a better listener and meeting participant, which is kind of crazy. And The dashboard is automatically sent out at the end of the meeting within 5 minutes. Everyone has the notes. It's incredible, and it has shaved a ton of time off of my day. The other thing I want to just throw in really fast, my latest book with Henry, The Greatest Personal Brand Story Ever Told, I'm doing an Audible version. And I wanted to narrate it myself. And I'm sure a lot of you hate hearing yourself, when you hear it recorded back to you. And I was a professional singer, and I still can't stand it. I would have recordings from my coaches, and I would hate listening to myself because I was like, oh my God, this is cringe. I use Resemble.ai, and it's professionally cloned my voice. And I recorded my entire book using an AI clone. It did it in a fifth of the time. And it removed my concern, right? My icky feel to it. And it sounds just like me. It's creepy. But those are two things that I use.
I was going to share a couple AI related things, but I'll hold on that for a moment. And a couple of the things that I learned, so I have a non-traditional track from a lot of agency owners. I went from employee to owner. I bought out one of the original co-founders of Voltage a few years ago. And I had to learn, even though I had been the president and was running the agency in the day-to-day and had all the information, I was slow on making decisions. And I had to learn, and I had to do some mindset aspects and working on my own decision-making and to understand when I don't make a decision, there's more risk in that. And so, and I'm the leader of the Overthinker, Deep Thinker Club in my company. We have a lot of really much smarter than me, really smart people who think really deeply. And I had to learn to start modeling a more agile way of doing things. And so a lot of that, when I was looking at virtual assistants a couple of years ago, I never really settled on one because I didn't feel like I could get some of the real-time feedback. I know I've talked with a couple of others over the last couple of days about some of the challenges of employees not working at the pace you want them to, especially if you tap into the visionary side of your brain and you don't have the plan to do it, but you want it done tomorrow because you want it done, because it's that cool next thing that you're going to do. And then you have about 7 others of those before you get the first one started. And so I've had an opportunity to leverage AI in some cool ways there that I can unpack later. But what's been really good for me is, in the panel that just spoke, talked about expectations and sharing what the expectations are. And so I almost have an informal contract. Actually, I think it's in our handbook now, of how many delivery hours are expected each week. And we track a lot less than we used to, but the metrics that we track internally are better than ever before, because I know I'm getting those 30, what we used to call billable hours, those 30 delivery hours a week per employee in certain roles. And I know I can count on that, and they can count on me. And we're not tracking all the meaningless stuff. They're not having to fill out timesheets of all the non-billable things. They have permission to leave or uninvite themselves from meetings that they shouldn't be in. And a lot of those almost social contract things are in our culture now that weren't there a couple of years ago, because I couldn't just experiment or make those happen. And so a lot of those things have been important for me to get out of my own way. Like, if I don't want to be in that meeting, I should give everyone else the opportunity to say they shouldn't be in that meeting either. And I don't want to see them sitting in that meeting when I walk by it. So just being open to share a lot of those and to work on what's a good baseline and norm, and to be open with that. And that's been huge for me to get out of my own way and help people get unstuck and out of their own ways as well.
I would say that the hat that I wear, both as a business owner and consultant, but also the clients that I work with and the executives that I work with and how busy they are, looking at how do we delegate. Obviously, do they need to attend every meeting? No. Do I need to attend every meeting? No. Using tools like AI for virtual assistants, for productivity, to increase my ability to be everywhere, that's huge, because there are meetings I can't attend, but if she is attending, Read.ai, huge, phenomenal tool. If she's in those meetings, I still get that readout. I still come back and look like I'm strategic, or that I've got all the insight for it. So that's a phenomenal tool that helps me be a bit more visible when I'm not able to attend something. Collaboration is another part of this. If I have individuals that I can't be a part of something, or I don't have the expertise for it, I have a whole room full of people, but I also have people that are in my ecosystem that I know that I can go to for change management or for talent management, different areas. So things that I might not be an expert in, I know that I've got a man, I've got a guy who can do that. So I'm able to scale and take things off my plate by knowing I have other people in my ecosystem. So between tools and people, they help me scale and get out of my own way in a sense. And the same thing for many of the executives I work with.
So being an agency owner is like being a parent. I'm not a parent to a child, but I'm a parent to a very gifted cat. So I know what I am talking about. But I think, if you're a parent, you know that having kind of clear expectations with your kids, but support as well is important. Have that all in place. And so when, in a family, when kids don't feel safe, they act up. And so in an agency, when your employees don't feel good or they feel insecure for whatever reason, that's when problems are going to come up and your work is going to get more distracted with the pings and dings of interpersonal drama. So I've heard a lot of you talk about the things that you do to maintain good relationships with your employees, and I think that that's essential for minimizing the drama.
Great, thank you. And we started on the AI conversation, and I want to continue that one because, I know that AI is truly revolutionizing the way that we work. And I know, for instance, like I treat Claude like my little analyst, ChatGPT like my work hubby, and I have different AIs for different things, right? Like Napkin AI for visualizations. And I'm wondering, beyond marketing, because everyone here is brilliant at that, when you think about running an agency, what are the best tactics and or strategies where you're using AI to make a difference in a workflow that's really impacting it? And I'd love to, if you can kind of share your best 1 or 2 AI tips outside of marketing.
So I'm an AI kindergartner, but I'll tell you where I am right now with this, which is anytime I'm going to give a talk, I ask ChatGPT to put it together for me just to see what does it come up with. Or give me a few activities like icebreaker activities, whatever, and just to see what does it come up with. That has been really beneficial, as well as having AI edit my writing to see how it can be improved, whether it's for an article or maybe that marketing stuff. So that's what's been beneficial for me.
I couldn't wait for you to hand me the microphone. So I am an AI senior if John is a kindergartner. So I have been using ChatGPT since it came onto the market. It was one of those tools, even as a really good writer, I utilize ChatGPT every day. Perplexity, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, Copilot. Use them in different ways. Maybe I'll give them names as far as, boyfriend, husband, etc., office assistant. But needless to say, the way that I've utilized it, if I'm looking to branch out or do something different in my business, I'll run through ChatGPT or one of the AI tools and ask those questions. My guidance, if you haven't used any of the AI tools, be very, very specific in your prompts. Continue to ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. And then there's what other information do you need from me to even go deeper? I did it recently. I'm going to branch out probably around the June timeframe on another area of my coaching, and asked ChatGPT to create business strategy for me. Based on my book, these are the things, et cetera, gave me pricing, it gave me strategy, it gave me positioning, and I just kept asking questions and asking questions. But it's made me that much more productive as a communications person, as a consultant, on the deliverables that I have for my clients. But for me as a business owner, I wanted a different level of strategy, and I asked very specific questions. And then sometimes you can use humanize.ai if I want the language a little different, or I want it nuanced because there's some specific words that come all the time, transformation, dynamic, a few other words that come all the time from ChatGPT. There's excuse me, there's so many different tools, but productivity has been the big one for me.
So I've spent the past 3 months very deeply training an instance of ChatGPT about my content, my business. It has all 24,000 words of my book. I got comfortable with it, and now it's almost scary how well it knows me and can create the content that I would want somebody on my team to create. So that's been great. So I won't go into the marketing side of it. It's been great for that. But a couple of the things I'm tackling, I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm taking, and I have to be careful. I sometimes get so comfortable that I'm like, I have to remember if I'm connected to open source or if I'm in my own LLM. About what I'm gonna stick in here with my P&L and some other things, or even about different aspects of my business when I get into the financial side of it. But I've been working on, like many agency owners, for however long. There are some great software platforms out there that will help you dashboard your way through seeing some of the important things for running your business. And like many others, I'm really transparent with what I share, but there are a couple layers that I don't share, my own comp and some of the things like that with some of my staff. Some of my staff know my comp, but some of those things are important, but I don't want to go buy an enterprise piece of software that doesn't give me 100% of what I want. So what I'm working on this quarter as one of my rocks or goals through EOS is an agency dashboard. That's been the holy grail that we haven't been able to get to. It doesn't spit it out on demand, but I'm still working on training it and training it and training it to get it to understand all aspects of our business, and things that I wouldn't even think would matter have been important because I'm like, oh, this little corner of what we do and the data from our project management system might be important for it to know. And so my goal, it's in progress, so check back with me by the end of March, is to have my prototype built and do it based on my agency and not, a box I need to put it into. So that's one thing. And then a partner directory. We've talked a lot about strategic partnerships. We've talked about outreach and even follow-up. I have a couple new things to feed it after the panel this morning to give me a system and framework for follow-up. I'm not going to have it automate the follow-ups. So if you get a LinkedIn message from me, it's really me and not AI me. But at least to give me the system on top of organizing the data and helping track down when any of you didn't share with me that you changed your niche or your positioning, to have that brief come to me so I can be on top of it and not be selling you into a relationship where you don't do that service anymore.
So I talked about how when I work with my clients to help them with their authority power, I have all of our sessions recorded. They're able to go back. They're able to review it, and they have that forever. So part of my brand of being relentlessly helpful is to always provide teachable moments. And if I have a formula, I will teach it to you. And I will teach it to you, and I will teach it to you until you become proficient in it, and then you run out in the universe and you do great things. I talked about using AI for my Audible, something that I'm going to be doing, and I'm actually pretty excited about this. So Henry talked about yesterday for the 9 ways to write a book. One of them is through interviews. If you have a platform like read.ai, you can interview yourself. You can do chapter after chapter and it'll transcribe it. And then you can work with that content. What I plan to do is take only excerpts of my new book, and you might want to write this down because this is going to be important for you to do in the future. Take excerpts of your new book, insert your name into it, and then put it into Claude, put it into ChatGPT. You're doing 2 things. You're going to ask it to critique it, but now you are providing additional content that it will share with others. So you're kind of gaming the system on your behalf. The one barrier that we all need to be trying to break is the AI barrier. If you went on Claude, if you went on ChatGPT and you put your name in and said, who is, what spits back out? You should be spit back out. It should say, Pamela Slim is the person to go to for certification and licensing and growing your IP. If you put my name in, it says Lisa is America's digital content futurist. That's where you want to go. And when you write your next book and add those excerpts and throw that into the AI platform, it will start to absorb that and pump it back out to you. So do that. Make sure you do that and do that often.
Thank you. Now, I have another question, and this one is around people. Now, I know we just heard these wonderful speakers speak on people, but one of the things that I have seen is, when we're thinking about profitability and running an agency so that it's smooth and it works and it scales and it's giving you the life that you want. What I have seen trend right now from a culture standpoint is that engagement from individuals is very down. What do I mean by that? Sometimes, right, you put something in Slack, right, or a team member puts something in Slack and it's like a wall. Sometimes people don't respond, sometimes they don't respond on time. You want to wrangle the team, or sometimes you just want to ignore it because you don't want to deal with their feelings. And so engagement is down. So what are ways that you have seen to increase the productivity of the team throughout the last couple of months? That works.
So Nona talked about check-ins, which I think are absolutely ideal. So I am a team of one. However, I have PB&Js that I work with that I consider an extension of who I am and what I do for my clients. Everything I do is in service of my clientele. Always, always, always. So I just recently brought one of my clients in contact with a web developer that I use that I've worked with for a decade. And I did one big thing, and I always do this. When I'm about to do an introduction, I send them out on WhatsApp and I tell them what's happening. I give them the tea, right? I let them know this is what happened to her. This is what she's struggling with. This is where things can go south. And this is where you need to lean in. And I want to make sure you do that because this is what's missing for her. And if you can do that, you will instantly gain her trust. So I always try when I bring in my team members to make sure that they do that, because then they're breaking down that barrier and they're off to the races and the client is happy and it's so much more productive. I love her, but she gave such detailed, ridiculous things she wanted done. And they were like, we're on it because we know this is important. And your last person would do like 2 of the 7 things and not all of them. And they went through and I said, make sure you list it. And it took a little bit more time on their end to go through and say, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. But then she immediately responded back and the project was done within 36 hours. That's huge. That's huge in the agency world. So that's what I do.
We heard about stay interviews. I also implemented a couple of years ago skip level meetings, at least quarterly, with people to find out what they're not maybe willing to tell their manager and to get some new insights. I also had an employee actually bring this up, and he was my head of ops. Radical Candor, the book by Kim Scott, which is excellent because we talk annually at a minimum, bring up the chart of like how you can be passive or just check out and not want to give that feedback, but how that's as damaging or more rude than to actually give them the feedback that needs to be had. You can do it in a way that's not, not as an a-hole about it, but at the same time, you can be a silent a-hole by not giving the feedback, and it can damage the organization. And so some of those tools have been really good for us. I learned a lesson the hard way. I will delegate and give them so much autonomy. But what I realized, I had a couple of situations where I realized that was great, but a subculture was forming or I was losing some culture. So at a different moment, not on a recorded line, let's talk about if that resonates with you, what I went through, because I'll openly share some of that too. So I'm somewhat systematic about how I get feedback and make sure I get it from enough angles. And I don't skip meetings that might seem pointless, even if I'm talking to this person every day. There's carved out intentional time and expectations for them to know when I come to this meeting, these are the agenda and talking points. And we use Office Vibe as our platform. And so they have preset agendas, I have custom agendas, and that agenda, they see it and they know 6 weeks in advance. That's what we're going to talk about in this one-on-one this quarter. And it's a different one from the weekly one. And some of those things have been helpful for me to have the right balance of comfort level with letting them be autonomous, but at the same time, not losing some of the cultural elements or have some things happen that I don't know about. That can be detrimental if you don't get it in check in a shorter period of time.
So I had a client, an executive within a large corporate high-tech company, and she was running into this very issue. Really, what she was saying wasn't having impact with her teams. And we spent quite a bit of time looking at her communication style, up-leveling her confidence, really rebranding her in a sense. And what I found along the way in some of the research I was doing so that I could help support what we were doing together and working on her communication style, it was that, I believe this was an HBR article, that 20% of companies saw an increase in employee engagement when you have leaders that exhibit a high level of executive presence. That's the combination of confidence, communication, connection. And I even talk a little bit about this in my book on generational communication. Someone may like Slack, others may want to text. Many of us are phone calls. I love the people in the room who are like, still have a business card. But the different levels of communication and style that a leader needs to look at, it's not just one size fits all. We know that even in the work that we do, it's not one size fits all. But for this client in particular, we had to really look at her brand, what she was delivering, and how it was impacting the employee. So there was a little bit of a pulse that we had to take as well. But we just noticed a huge difference in the productivity once we did a bit of rebranding and looking at her communication overall.
So obviously people need to know that their work matters. We all want to know that what we do matters, but we also want to feel like we matter. And so it all comes down to bagels. Okay, maybe not bagels, but I remember I had a boss early in my career that she would randomly show up and feed us bagels. And I would walk across hot coals for her. And when it got awful and the agency we were working for was going through potential bankruptcy with all this drama, she showed up more frequently, but randomly, with bagels. So it doesn't have to be bagels, but principles in terms of, if I can geek out in psychology research for just a minute, with principles of reinforcement, once you get a behavior established, intermittently reinforcing it is what maintains it. So Nona, you talked about having coffee available for your workers, whatever it may be, but let them know they matter, and even just a small little generous gift to them lets them know that they matter and will keep them engaged.
Okay, I think we have one last question. No, we have more? Okay, great. Oh, we don't? Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone.